Alright, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I haven't really had the chance to until now. The New York Rangers, what the hell is going on with this team? So they have lost 6 of their last 7 games against teams who, most of them, they should be beating. They should be. And it's amounted up to some stats that have not looked good, some articles that have been posted shading the Rangers players, and a possible shakeup is potentially looming this week because the Rangers have a 3-day break between their last game on Monday and their next game on Friday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. So, currently the Rangers are 13-10-1 for 27 points. They are tied 4th in the Metro with the Philadelphia Flyers. They are also tied for the first wildcard spot with the Philadelphia Flyers as well. And as I mentioned, they have lost 6 of their last 7. Now, I'm going to be honest, if this is any other team in this division, and I'm including Washington, I'm including New Jersey, I'm including the Hurricanes, I don't think there's this much media buildup. I don't think so. And the reason why there has been is because the stakes are high. It has become pretty clear that after this season, the Rangers were going to make changes. And guys that have been on this team for a while, like Trouba, maybe even Kreider, those guys would be gone. And a new Shesterkin contract is also looming as well. And I think that the reason why, again, that's the reason why all of this is happening. And the reason why this skid is being really heavily pushed out there in the media. So let's go game by game. I think that's the best way to kind of look at it and kind of talk about these because I have watched a couple of these games and the Rangers just seem like they don't seem to care. So in the first game against Calgary, this is one that I did watch, they lost 3-2. Now I'm going to say this. It's Calgary. They're playing good. You did come back and tie the game after being down 2-0. So I was like, all right, you're on your Western Canada road trip. You're going to lose one at some point because I think they won the other 2 between Seattle and Vancouver. So I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. Then they get pummeled 6-2 by the Edmonton Oilers, and then that is when things started really getting talked about a lot. So Elliot Friedman posted a tweet saying that in the aftermath of their 6-2 loss to the Edmonton Oilers, the Rangers had made it clear they were considering a possible shakeup. Among the names mentioned were Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba. So we'll get into those names in a little bit. I don't really want to get into that right now because I think that, I'm going to get into that when we get into the players. But that was something that really made headlines a lot. And it was probably something to really kind of shake up the locker room and maybe make things a little bit better in New York, but it really didn't. Their following game, they dropped it 5-2 to the St. Louis Blues. Again, that is Jim Montgomery's first game, his coaching debut as a St. Louis Blue. And I was like, okay, they're playing Martin St. Louis. Again, it's not ideal to lose 3 games in a row, especially against a team that was below 500 at the time. I think they still are. But regardless, it's not ideal. But again, you kind of get it at some point. Then the losses came in where it really was making a lot of headlines. 4-3 to the Carolina Hurricanes. They had a 2-1 lead heading into the third period. Or I think 3-2. Sorry, 3-2 lead heading into the third period. What's most notable about that is that the goals in that game, and I streamed this game, so I know. I live streamed it on the YouTube channel. The 3 goals they scored in that game came from the depth. It came from Brett Berard, Edstrom, I think Brodzinski had a goal in there too. It did not come from anybody who was a notable player on this team. It did not come from somebody who was like a high-paid player. It wasn't one of the top 6 guys. None of those goals came from that. And as a result, they blow it. They lose 4-3 in regulation. What's worse is that you're not picking up points either. Like, you're not getting at least the overtime point. You're not getting the extra point. They've only had 2 points in their last 7 games played. So, again, that is also not a great look whatsoever either. Against Philadelphia on Black Friday, they lose that one 3-1. Now, I will say this. They made it close towards the end. But at the beginning of the game, you're telling me that you guys had 4 shots. 4 shots. through the first half of the game against Philadelphia. I know Philly's playing well. I know, and God forbid I say good things about Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is playing well. I understand that. But you are clearly a better team than the Flyers. And you only have 4 shots for the first period, the first half of the game? You're not winning games like that. I'm sorry. Then they play Montreal the following day. They score with 13 seconds left to win the game. Honestly, if they lose that game, I think we see changes that following day. I'm being honest. They're lucky they won that game because, maybe you thought that would be the turnaround. Nope, they dropped the next one to the Devils at home 5-1. So, again, it has been an absolutely brutal stretch of games here for the New York Rangers. And I want to point out, they are 3-9-1 against teams that are above 500. Now, keep in mind, they have 13 wins. They have 13 wins so far this year. That means that the vast majority of their wins have come from teams that are below 500. And they have 10 losses. So that means that literally 90% of your losses are coming from teams that are above 500. Again, I get it. You're not going to beat every team that is above 500. You're not going to win every game either. But being 3-9-1 against playoff teams, essentially, is not good enough. And seeing the production from the players, I'm sorry, Rangers fans, you're not going to like me for this comment, but it's like I'm watching the playoffs in November. That's what it feels like right now. Or it's December, but at the time it felt like I was watching the playoffs in November. Like, seriously. So, I want to talk about some positives before I get into the real negatives. The positives, Panarin's looked solid. 13 goals, 16 assists, 29 points. He's producing. He looks solid. So, that's a plus. Will Cooley, one of the younger guys with the Rangers, was somebody who I've been pretty high on. If you watch my prospect pool reviews, I've been pretty high on Cooley. But for him, 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. That's pretty good, I would say, for a young guy like him. So at least you're getting production from some players in your lineup. Adam Fox has 20 assists. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. I guess it's good he's passing the puck, but he doesn't have a goal yet this season. So it's kind of a little weird. Those were the only real positives that I saw. I'm being completely honest. I know there's probably other ones, but I don't think the depth is performing for this Rangers team. I don't even think the top guys are really performing that much either. Mika Zibanejad, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points through 24 games played. He's a minus 14. This guy does not care defensively. He does not give a crap. And even watching him out there offensively, he's lucky he's picking up points. He is. He has horrendous turnovers that make me just like blow my mind every single day. And it's unbelievable just like how not good he has been as well. Capo Caco, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. He hasn't been ideal. You want more from a guy like him. I think that he's not the worst negative on this side of the board. But again, for somebody who was a second overall pick, he's really not making a great case to stay in New York after this season. So we may see something happen there. Vincent Trocheck only has 6 goals this year so far. 6 assists for 12 points. He's your second line center. He's your first or second line guy. He's a top 6 player, and he only has 12 points. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to get better. And I don't know if that's, it's a chemistry thing or, he's just in a slump. But something needs to happen here or else there's going to be a legitimate shakeup. And I don't even know who goes. I'm going to be honest. The only, for sure person I know is leaving New York within the next, I would say, 5 or 6 months is Jacob Trouba. That's the only person that I know is most likely leaving. The rest is all up in the air. Laviolette could get fired today or tomorrow. I don't know if he's the problem, but I think that it could happen. It's easier to fire the coach than it is to trade away all these players. So, again, that's another thing that you got to keep in mind there as well. But Chris Kreider only has 10 goals. He has 10 goals. That's good and all. No assists, no points as well outside of the goals. Pretty weird. Pretty weird to think. Not the biggest negative there either. And then Lafreniere, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points with the Rangers this year. He's a minus 11. So he has been brutal defensively as well. just overall, I think that there's a lot of negatives with this team. Zibanejad and Kreider have to be the two biggest ones, in my opinion. I would like to mention, too, I'll get into Trouba in a second, but I'd like to mention that Miller and Schneider, that defensive pairing is fourth worst in X goals against per 60. So that's a money puck stat there. That's a not ideal whatsoever. Again, I want to talk about Trouba. Trouba for me, definitely, listen, you can say things about how, he's a fighter, he's a good leader, he's physical. He's not good defensively. He's not. I'm sorry. I can't sit here and seriously tell you that Trouba is a good defenseman. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not hating on him as a person. I get that, he's done good things. I like his art. His art's good. I get his wife works for a medical team there in New York. I get that. I don't hate him as a person. As a hockey player, he's not good. He's not. And that's why I think that you're likely going to see him get traded. And one of the most notable things that I saw after that game against Philadelphia was Larry Brooks put out a pretty interesting article title. It said, Rangers' dysfunctional season is on the line. Rangers need to get rid of their lame duck captain. Yeah, so it's pretty clear that the media has turned against Trouba. That's how it's been for a while, though. It feels like the team has turned against Trouba. Again, they tried to trade him in the offseason. Trouba's just said, no, don't trade me. My wife works here. So, again, things need to get better in New York. The offense needs to improve because you can't tell me in these stretch of games, the only game where they scored more than 3 goals was the game that they won. And they scored that 4th goal with 20 seconds left. The other games, 3-2, 6-2, 5-2, 4-3, 3-1, 5-1. You're not scoring. You need offense. And then I want to mention this too, the goaltending. The goaltending, Shesterkin's numbers are not Shesterkin-like numbers. So far this year, 8-9-1, 3.05, .908. I'm telling you right now, not his fault. I'm telling you right now, none of these losing streaks, none of this stretch has been his fault. I'm being blatantly honest with you guys. The way I see it, it's the blue line in front of him that's not playing well. You see guys like Miller and Schneider, not a great pairing. Trouba hasn't been good this year. It's the defense. And you see Shesterkin, he's on a contract year, by the way. If Shesterkin leaves, this team is screwed. I am sorry. This team is in trouble. And you can't sit here and say to me, oh, they still have some guys on that. No, they're in trouble. They are in massive trouble if they lose Shesterkin. Shesterkin is the best, is one of, if not the best goalie in the NHL. And he has carried this team time and time again, carried them in the playoffs 2 years ago, last year, this year. He has carried them every stretch of the way. And when he finally starts to have kind of like a November slump and, maybe he's, falling back down to earth a little bit, the Rangers really struggle. That shows you can't rely on your goalie. You can't. You can't rely fully on your goalie. Again, I get it sometimes, but you can't do it every single damn game. Things need to get better. And Shesterkin, I've even seen rumors of him wanting $13 million. $13 million. I don't blame him. I'm being honest. If I'm seeing the way this team is struggling, maybe New York's not the answer for you. I don't know. I don't know what to think with this Rangers team. Jonathan Quick's been a positive, 5-1, 2.03, and a .936. But again, it seems like the media has turned on the Rangers. The stakes are really high with this team. They need to go and win a championship. Otherwise, again, we're going to see big changes in the offseason, and we're seeing them struggle now. We may see big changes mid-season. So I don't really know what's going to happen there, though, because it's so easy to say, oh, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to move this guy, we're going to trade this guy, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Yes, it's way harder to actually do that. And seeing that Trouba and Kreider were two names for me that were mentioned, I think that I can't really, I don't know. I can't see a team wanting Trouba, first off. I'm sorry, I just can't. And secondly, those names get out there, you're going to get a lower price. I think Kreider, there are teams who should jump on Kreider. He makes good money. He scores, great on the power play. He's a guy who has shown up in the playoffs the last 2 seasons for the Rangers. But again, you may not get the returns you're expecting for some of these guys. And I don't know. I don't know. You can tell that I'm kind of rambling here. I'm really just at a loss for words with this Rangers team. It seems like it's the same thing every year, and it's really frustrating. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts about what you think is going to happen with this team. Is this just a slump? Is this just a slump? It happens to every team. Is this just one of those? And because the stakes are really high with this Rangers team and the media loves to feed into things like this, that's why it's been so dramatic? Or is this really a massive problem that needs to be solved? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. We're getting closer and closer to 3,000. But anyways, that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.